what is happening in Iran right now as the war continues to escalate. There were threats of overnight there being major issues that would happen, major things that we would hear about for decades. Doesn't seem like that was able to be accomplished. Similar voices I feel like that we heard during the original war on terror. But Will, here we are.
That's right. As you mentioned, Iran yesterday, through their state media and their troll army that they have unleashed, which is actually pretty remarkable how well they have flooded social media with propaganda and lies about what's going on. But they were teasing out that there would be an event that would be remembered for centuries. And that does not seem to have come to pass. I don't know if their rocket launchers they thought they could use have already been destroyed.
Statement.
Right.
My wife was sitting, we were watching it. She was like, yeah, let's turn this off. Like, I think we've seen enough, especially around the kids right now, because look, it's not like this war is anything to laugh at or anything to ignore. It is real and it's happening, and President Trump is being questioned a lot about it right now.
That's right. This morning they were unveiling 2 new American flagpoles that they have on property at the White House. And one, there was a reporter asking things and many things, and we'll get into this in the next segment as well, but kind of a generic question about the flagpoles. And President Trump had kind of a cryptic answer that he gave, and it also shows the tone of the president, much more confident, much more combative. But let's go ahead and roll bite 3 as you hear how the question about the flagpoles was responded to by the president of the United States.
Who gave you the idea to do this?
I've had it for a long time. The first time I had it, but you guys were after me. I said I had to focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
Yeah, big difference. Of course, he's talking about specifically, who knows exactly what he's referring to as the hunter, the hunted. There's a lot of discussion of what that all means. But we do need to give him a little setup. He's adding flagpoles to both ends of the
Rose Garden.
Rose Garden. Again, cool. Got no problem with it. Feels like some decorative choices, whatever he'd like to do. Doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't necessarily, to me, rise to an importance of national news. But it is what it is when we are seeing this battle wage on. Now, obviously, he's talking about potentially the engagement in Iran, as Iran has targeted President Trump, we know, and Mike Pompeo and a lot of people over the years, very specifically. And now America has at least soft joined the efforts of Israel. I'd say that. Not officially joined that, not the same kind of war as you think of. And I think that's also, Will, we got to get out of our heads that this war will look like something from 2002. Again, they've kind of said this isn't a full-blown war, and though Iran has said, hey, we're at war, you've declared war. Israel has pushed back on that, saying, no, we are stopping you from enriching uranium to avoid even a larger war. So it's a little semantics, what we're talking about here. And of course, you've had almost all of the leadership except for the top being taken out. And they've said, hey, we know where you are. We're not coming for you yet. But be careful.
That's right. And this is as you see that there are people leaving Tehran. You are seeing videos surface of people chanting against the Ayatollah in Iran. And you even see the Crown Prince of Iran, the son of the Shah, who has put out a video calling on the people of Iran to rise up. This is the moment. And he even says it will be messy, but we will get through and we will be on the other side of this, and we will be able to topple this regime.
Yeah, they've been through this before in terms of a revolution. It can happen. And look, I think that's the difference even between what you're seeing in Gaza. It's easy to kind of conflate everything together. Is actually the Iranian people, for the majority, probably the most part, even though they're silenced often, do not agree with this regime, are not in favor of sort of the dictatorship that has come upon their country.
That's right. There is a diverse mix of people, of religions. Historically,
yeah, we know
there was
millions of people now.
Right. Oh, exactly. Yes,
98 million people. Yeah.
But there is, the Baha'i that were persecuted there. Many people that were Baha'i fled Iran because of the persecution they received from the regime. Yeah. But there's
a lot of them here.
Exactly.
America.
Long history of Persian people, very proud of the Persian identity that they have from Iran, and not necessarily identifying with what Iran has become because of the Islamic Republic and revolution.
Pre-70s Iran.
Right.
Yeah.
There used to be a very strong Christian population, a strong Jewish population in what was Persia. Yeah. And since the Islamic Revolution, all of that has been killed off, has been persecuted, has fled because of what these theocratic, genocidal, death cult dictators do to the people of Iran. But we're also hearing the president be much more direct in things that he is saying. Now, obviously, he's not telling the media, much like, remember when he was campaigning and they said, will you authorize Israel to strike Iran? And he said to the media, I'm not going to tell you that. Who in their right mind would tell you what we would or wouldn't do to forecast that? But they're asking similar questions now. And we should play bite 9. This is a reporter asking if the president gave an ultimatum to the Iranians. And you'll hear a very Trumpian answer, but I think it also shows the shift in tone that we're seeing from the president.
The Iranians ultimatum.
You could say so. They know what's happening. Maybe you could call it the ultimate ultimatum, right?
What essentially was that, though?
Oh, I don't want to say it. Look, give me a break.
Give me a break. The ultimate ultimatum is what he said. Of course, it was a little hard to hear that, and sometimes on those lawn interviews, some of the details get a little lost in there. But yeah, essentially, she was asked, "Would you give him an ultimatum?" And he said, "Yeah, you could say that. I gave him the ultimate ultimatum." We do. Yeah, go ahead.
And then I love that the reporter goes, "What essentially was that, though?" And he goes, I'm not going to say, look, give me a break.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to tell you what exactly laying it out. Right?
We all know. I think a lot of people are seeing this moment as a split. They've said this is the split of the MAGA movement, which is, were you the isolationists, the Tucker Carlsons, the people who have pushed for this, what America first meant to them versus what America first maybe means to President Trump. And now you are seeing that divide. And now we're going to see how far people are willing to take it, who they're willing to kind of side with. Because do you side with the commentator or do you side with the President of the United States who has a lot more information? Do you side with what you felt the whole time, which was this, we don't need to be getting into wars, which I understand, I respect that. Or do you side with military action? And what could happen, and what very well could happen, is you will have this split and this divide where you honestly have people that surround President Trump that are more of the original kind of mainline Republican conservatives. I know you're not going to want to hear this, but the let's say before the war in Iraq went south, but the war on terror conservative Republicans, traditional Republicans. And then you will have those other commentators and those other voices start to become fringe again. Or you have the opposite. When you have a Tucker Carlson going on, though, and saying, I think this is the end of the Trump presidency, I mean, that feels laughably ridiculous.
Well, I think what you're now seeing is the same people that cringe at their own clips, maybe about the Iraq war, are thinking, in 10 years, I want to make sure I have this soundbite so I can look right. Like, these are media personalities and entertainers at their heart. That's really what they care about. I don't know that they fully believe that. If they do, I think they're wrong. But it's hyperbole to say this is the end of the Trump presidency. But one other angle of that is that, yes, in hindsight, the way that the Iraq war was carried out, the way it was beleaguered under President Obama, there is many mistakes the U.S. made, and even whether that was a war that we should have entered. Sure. But what we look at is that a lot of the death toll of American troops, because of the type of war, it being a U.S. Putting boots on the ground to try and have regime change and not fully flushing that out in the right way. Who was killing American soldiers? It was Iranian proxies. It was Iranian militias that were trying to take over Iraq, that were Shiite militias that aligned with the Ayatollah. They were trying to expand the territory of Iran. But also, if you ask any veteran that was infantry or a special operator that was in Iraq, when they would find weapons caches or they would find IEDs or they would find things in these provinces, the instructions, the labels, everything was from Iran. Iran was fighting the United States in that war in Iraq. It wasn't us fighting Iraqis. So when you think about that as a proxy war, it's not like the United States has not been fighting Iran. I would argue since the revolution, since 1979, What I do think is different about what President Trump is maybe forecasting or showing is that this isn't going to be an Iraq-style invasion. If the United States gets involved, it is with our Air Force, our Navy, using assets that don't put boots on the ground. We are not going in there. Even the way he's lightly dancing around regime change.
I'm going to save that clip, Will, for you for later. All of a sudden, it's going to then cut to boots on the ground. People.
Right. I will be wrong. Fine. Whatever.
No.
But what we are seeing right now looks as though
it
will be more of how we took out ISIS from the air, protecting our installations and troops and protecting the homeland. Because one thing we forget, they've got these hypersonic and mid-range missiles. Yeah. They've also been developing intercontinental ballistic missiles. You don't use those to hit Israel.
No.
You hit those to hit other continents.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Secular program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.